All right, good morning, everybody. Wake up if you're not up. Just give me a heads up on the sound, Mark, if you would. How's the sound doing? Sounds good? Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. And welcome to the 10-Minute Trades Trade Room. I'm going to start. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the Trading Director at 10-Minute Trades. Please remember it's possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully. And this morning we have the U.S. jobs report. So you can see there's a ton of news. We also have Canada's jobs report. And probably the hardest part about trading this report is not the trading. It's deciding what to trade. Deciding what to trade. It's the hardest part. So for many years, we traded bonds. When I say bonds, I mean ZB. We traded ZB. For a while, we added the euro. Good morning, Howard. And as of late, we've been trading 6N very successfully. Last month, but I've been watching gold, and gold offers much larger profits than bonds because it moves further and it offers larger profits because of the moves. But sometimes when you trade gold, half the people in the room will make money, half won't, even though it looks like a perfect trade. Gold has more liquidity problems than bonds do. And sometimes it just doesn't fill well. I mean, it is what it is. That's what happens. It just doesn't always fill well. So I'll show you what happened last month. So last month we got stopped. Now, some people say the trade should have been canceled because gold moved 20 ticks right before the trade. The problem is we have seen moves before the report that try to scare you out of the trade, particularly with WASD. Grain reports have done that. Now, I have to keep my news off to the side today. There's just too much news. And also, you have Canada trading. So originally I was thinking of trading Canada and the US. And then I always get here and I decide, well, I really want to concentrate on trading the US. And then Canada has a great move. So Canada is definitely a tradable report without a doubt, with a bracket of 10 and a target of 6 and 11 and 19, 6, 11, and 19 with a stop of 12 to 15. And I'd enter at 8:30 on Canada. Now, I personally prefer to trade gold. But look at gold already. I mean, gold has really not been trading great this week, and it's been volatile. So, and I've been winning regularly with bonds. So I'm going to trade bonds. I prefer gold, but I'm going to trade bonds. Okay. Bonds did not have that great a move last month, but they looked like a winner. Okay. Looked like they were a winner. Looked like it was a little bit slow in its reaction. I do have to admit that. It looks slow in its reaction. Now, there's a part of me that I have to fight myself really hard not to trade gold. I have to fight it. I have to fight it. Let's look at the daily report. So the report, you can see bonds, it's just been winning regularly. Okay, it's been winning regularly. And the moves, not gigantic, 11 ticks, 18 ticks, 20 ticks, 12 ticks, 20 ticks. And then when you go to gold, whoops, hang on. 100 ticks, 100 ticks, over 100 ticks, 50 ticks, 90 ticks. Right? So I guess I'm trading gold. I mean, we're here to make money. This is a report that if it works, it's gonna make some money. And I think what I'll do today is if gold looks untradeable, I'll do what I did with WASD. I'm going to pass on Canada and I'm going to set up my bond trade on my right hand chart. So if I don't like the way gold behaves after the gold open, then I can just click the checkbox and trade bonds. So I'm going to set up my bond trade. And bonds are on 322. And if I was trading bonds as my main trade, I've always used a bracket of 4, always. Right now I'm going to leave it at 4. And I trade 3 positions with bonds. Meaning 3 positions, 3 targets. And I go for 4 ticks. And I go for 7 ticks. And I go for 12 ticks. It's not usually a giant mover. And my stop is 6. And my entry time is 8:29:59. And I label the trade because I'm going to have 2 trades set up. And actually, I'm going to put my time on 0. It's very important on a day like today. I want my brackets perfect. So I want to look at them before I put my real trade on. So I'm going to just make believe I'm trading right this second. And see how the brackets are huge. You don't want to trade like that. My charts are too far spread apart. That's a more normal size bracket. So that's how the bond chart should look, right about like this. So my bond setup, one more time, is a bracket of 4. I may go with 3. The bond market looks kind of quiet. Right now I'm going to go with 3. I reserve the right to change it. And my entry time is going to be 8:29:59. And I'm looking for targets of 4, 7. I mean, what if we have an awesome move? I hate to shrink my last target, so I'll make it 15. Even 15 is not all that big. But I doubt if it'll hit it. It usually doesn't. it often hits the first two targets. And then I'm looking at a stop of 6, entry time of 59, and that's my bond setup. And it's like I said, I really prefer gold, and I'll show you why gold is more challenging. Okay, so my bond trade is ready to go. It's ready. Look what happened last month on gold. Let me repeat Canada one more time for everybody. If anybody wants to trade Canada, Canada is a great report. It's a great report to trade. It's fairly low risk to trade. This is the news I'll be looking at, but I'm going to look at it on my other monitor. Good morning, Jody. Good morning, everybody. That's rolling in a little bit late. So Canada is a bracket of 10, 8:30 entry, stop of 12 to 15, and targets 6, 13, 21, 8, 11, 23. Those are the ranges of your targets for Canada. 5, 15, 22. All right. That's how I would look at Canada. I'd probably go with 7 on my first, 7 or 8. Now, gold actually looks pretty manageable this morning. It does have 90 ticks of movement, which, yes, it's worrisome. But we've seen way worse, way worse. This is the gold setup. Gold moves big. It moves big, you lose big. Okay? I mean, that's the reality of gold. It moves big, you lose big. I don't like micro gold on this report. It doesn't have good liquidity. Let's look at last month's. Let's look at why I lost money last month. Now, it's easy, very easy for someone to analyze what happened live. But if you're not in the room trading with your finger on the trigger, the analysis is easy. There's no pressure. So it was determined by the analysis that last month should have been canceled on gold because it moved 23 ticks 10 seconds before the trade. And if we really talk about truth, and if we're really honest with ourselves, I have to agree. It's actually correct analysis. And there's always a big but. And the reason there's a big but is because forget it. I don't want to. The reason there's a but is because when you're trading live, we have seen so many times that trades have gotten filled after a big pre-move and they worked perfectly. It just happens way too many times that we just have to live with it. I mean, that's the honest truth. We've seen it many, many times. I'm just trying to decide what I want to do on my targets. The stop on gold is 200 per contract. The entry time, 8:29:59. I want to look at my brackets also on gold, and I'll show you the video so you can see what we were talking about. Trust me, I'm not going to forget to show you. I'm just getting my trade set up early so I don't have to think about them. I don't want to rush at the last minute. So gold, when I enable it with the time set to 0, My brackets will show up. And they look pretty darn good. See what I'm doing? I set the time to 0 so I can see my brackets. So I want the chart perfect. I want the chart perfect. Looks like bonds want to test the high. Now I'm going to go back in, change my time back to the correct time. Probably going to go to a 4 bracket on bonds. Because when the markets are volatile, that's what I've always done on bonds. For months and months and months, I've used a bracket of 4. And we'll double check it. You know, my memory could be off. We'll check it. How are we going to check it? We'll watch the video. Not complicated. And we're going to check our time sync. And I'm going to remember to turn on my recorder. Now, I was up all night last night because I've got mice where I live. And when the dogs are not here, when I'm not watching my daughter's dogs, it's like the mice are having a party. Man. I thought the mice were crawling in bed with me. I heard so many mice last night. I couldn't sleep. They were having a field day. Well, the way I feel about it, as long as they're not rats or small farm animals, I'm okay with it. All right, so charts are ready. Orders are ready. Time is set. Oh, you know what? Bracket. Gold bracket. I have traps everywhere also. I was thinking of getting a cat, but I can't own a pet because if I own a pet, I can't take care of my kids' pets. And I like helping out, taking care of their pets, and then I don't have to own a pet either. It's like the perfect scenario. So a bracket of 12 on gold, 3 positions. You know, use targets. You've got the DMM. Choose your targets accordingly on the DMM. I don't want you following my targets ever. So I'm not going to tell you my targets. I don't want people following my targets. If our first target is 15 and 30, you know my philosophy on targets. If it's choppy, 15 is very big for a first target, even if gold moves a lot. I like to get filled. I like to use a target of 9 or 7 on my first and build up your second targets. You know, make your second target 20, 22. Make your third target 35. You know, work with the range that you see in here, and also understand gold moves quite a bit. Now, don't give yourself a target of 100. Jody, reboot your whole computer and your cable modem. If you have time, try rebooting your whole everything. That's what I would do. Because it might just be, yeah, I mean, Calvin, it probably wouldn't be, right? Why would demo be checked if she's been trading nonstop? And what Calvin is saying, Jody, is check your configuration on your connection. Okay, you know, in connection, check your configuration. Just going to double check my time on gold. I do have the financial juice on in the background, so I'm going to hear the results. There's so much news on the jobs reports that it's very hard to analyze the trade. before the trade is over. There's too many elements, but there are two very important elements. I will tell you that. And I think my targets are too big. I know it moves, but I like to be conservative on this report. So I'm going to just be conservative on my targets. If it has a great move, there's always a possibility of getting some extra slippage from the markets. Okay, I was going to show you last month and why it was a little scary. So gold last month had that move. That move, Jody canceled her gold trade. I did not, and it had a crazy whipsaw. Okay, I did not, it had a crazy whipsaw. It was not a good move in gold in general. Okay, it wasn't a good move in gold in general. But that was somewhat of a warning to cancel. You could have definitely taken it as a cancel. So that is the situation with last month. Bonds seemed to move a little bit slowly last month, but they started moving before cancellation. They just didn't have a great move. Now, if I decided I only want to trade, I want to change from gold to bonds, I uncheck and I check bonds. Right now, I want to trade gold. I don't know why I don't trust my charts this morning, but I don't trust my charts this morning. So one more time, here's my gold brackets. Okay, they're kind of biggish. Leave them like that. I want space. I want to see them. I want it to be clear. That's why I do this. Now remember, if you're trading live and your charts are on sim, you won't see your orders. Checking my time sync. My time sync is fine. How do we check the time sync? Go to time.is. Albert, I wish I could tell you why that's happening. It's almost never us. It's the only thing I can promise you. We don't touch, all the IDs just sit on a server. And if there was a problem with the server, no one would be able to trade. It's so frustrating, but all you can do is get me the ID and I'll get it checked ASAP. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do except apologize. It's almost never our fault. It could, I suppose it could be. I just got to tell you honestly, they just sit in a file on a remote server. That's how it works. And nobody touches them. And our programmer has access to them also. So I'm listening to Financial Juice. It's a little bit quiet in my headset, so I'm turning it up. So right now, I said I wanted to be on a 4 bracket on bonds. It most probably will not make the difference between a winning trade and a losing trade. So I'm just listening and watching. If you want to be a time sync lunatic, you could check your sync once more by going to the website time.is. Albert, what Fred means is put brackets on, bracket the price, but don't do it without a stop. So it looks to me like I think the news is going to be good and gold is going to go test the low. But no matter what happens, the news could be bad. Gold could go test the high, right? Gold's in between the highs and the lows. Now the gold open was to the downside, looks maybe tradable. The gold open is at 820. So look, I'm risking quite a bit of money on this trade. I'm risking money to make money. If gold goes crazy like last month, I'll uncheck my check mark and put my bond trade on. Now, you don't always have time. Sometimes you just have to bite the bullet. Sometimes you don't have the opportunity. So I am going to be quiet because I'm concentrating. I don't have to tell you, this is a very nerve-wracking trade. The important numbers are the employment rate and the non-farm payrolls. They're expecting more than 500,000 jobs, 550,000. I think there's going to be 630,000 jobs. That's my random, meaningless prediction. So I suppose I could keep my cursor near the checking. But my gut feeling is to just trade gold. It's hard to change when you have a minute to go. But I'll keep my cursor near the check marks. Now remember, we have a 12 tick bracket. It's a decent sized bracket. I'm committed. Okay, it hit all my targets. I can't believe it. And I only made $820. Bonds were better. Bonds were better. Look at bonds. Bonds were better. I want to shoot myself. I want to shoot myself. But I would not have made as much money in bonds. My bond targets were smaller. Now, the market owed us this trade. The market owed us. We made $820 in 15 seconds. And I traded like 5 contracts. Folks, let's look. I have to stop and just not do anything for a minute. My heart is literally exploding out of my body. This was a nerve-wracking trade. I didn't want to. It's been really difficult trading the past couple of weeks and a couple of months, maybe. I just have to relax for a second because I was worried. I mean, I want to be honest. I was nervous. I wanted to trade gold because it's so much easier to make $800. Now, look. I made my targets a little smaller, and it was the right move. There's slippage with gold. If I change my cursor, I need a roll call. Fred, I want to look at that move. So bonds were a stop. It looked like bonds were fantastic, but I wanted a bracket of 4. So did anybody trade bonds with a bracket of 4? Or did everybody put it on 3? I changed my bracket to 4 on bonds. Look, I took my trade off, but I hope you saw me do that. Okay, Michael, you had a bracket of 4. It still lost. So I apologize. Bonds looked good, but I didn't notice them, how they traded until after the initial move. So if everyone is telling me bonds were a problem, then of course I believe you all. I believe you that bonds whipped. Gold did not whip, although it took its time bursting up. And when I say took its time, if it's 4 seconds on the jobs trade, that's a lot. That's a lot. Why am I nervous? Did you risk more than you were comfortable with? Dutchie, in all honesty, I don't know any, but honestly, I get nervous. There's some trade. Yeah, I risked. It's not that I risked more. I traded 5 contracts, which is $1,000 of risk. Okay. It's $1,000 of risk. So it didn't whip, Tom. So what happened with bonds? You got filled at 005. I was going to fix was it a bad fill? Is that what the problem was? It was a bad fill. I just want to change my cursors. I wish that everybody traded gold this morning. Did other people trade gold? So incredibly, bonds had a lot of slippage, which is very unusual for ZN. Extremely unusual. ZN usually is rock solid, not a lot of slippage. Now look, so one of the problems we're always dealing with, and one of the things that always worries me, is probabilities. One of the reasons I did not trade bonds, and we'll talk about the news results too, whether you made money or not, please give me a roll call. Please give me a roll call. Now, folks on YouTube, you got to see an amazing trade. Some people made money, some people didn't. But why don't you give us a couple of likes, because we're willing to trade live with real money on YouTube. Anybody in the world can watch us. Now you're getting a reversal. We're going to start looking at the after news trade, folks. I'm not doing it today because just too much going on for me. Too much going on. I can't concentrate after the jobs report either, to be honest. I can't make an intelligent decision. I'm too wound up from the initial trade. And that's being honest. I mean, as we do, we'll probably do more after the news trades if they work. We want to see if they work. But obviously today, gold, my after the news trade worked today. Okay. I would have entered as soon as I got that dark green momentum bar. But I was talking about gold, and then we'll talk about bonds. Put in a roll call. Lewis, it'll go out probably today. If not, I'll send it to you personally. So here's the news. So the job report was horrible. That pushes gold up, and that pushes bonds up. But what's fascinating is you have, as Dutchie was saying, the unemployment rate is much, much better. That creates the reversal that we're seeing. That's considered very mixed news. You have a terrible jobs report, but you have a fantastic unemployment number. But I don't think the unemployment number is as good as it looks. I think there's a lot of people just sitting on the sidelines that aren't looking for work. And I don't know, I don't understand all the ins and outs of the job market. I don't really care. All I care about is what kind of move do we get from the news. That's why I love trading this way, whether I lose or not. I lost last month. So last month you heard me moan and groan in the room. This month, I made $820 in about 20 seconds. And I did risk $2,000. And I always talk about how on the good trades, the risk to reward has no meaning for me. I don't care what the risk to reward is on the bond trade, on the job report, because the job report over the past 5 years is tremendously profitable. So I don't care. I don't even look at my risk to reward. It's not a factor for me. I know the opportunity is there to have a good trade way more than it is to lose. And I know that over the whole year, I'm going to have more winners than losers. I'm going to make money. I just know I'm not going to lose money on this report over the course of the year. So the risk to reward doesn't matter. Let's look at the video. Anybody that's desperate for the after news recording, you're going to have to send me an email if you're desperate. We are going to mail it, okay? It'll probably get emailed today. If you're desperate, send me an email today. I will absolutely try to get it out. So in analyzing the news, did anybody trade Canada? Did anybody trade Canada? So Canada had its typical good-looking move. Now, you don't know if there was a whipsaw at the time, but it looks like it would have been a good trade. You have to test it, and you have to look at the minute, the second the report came out, but it certainly looks like it was a good trade. Now, the euro usually moves the opposite direction from our trade. You know what? I probably don't even have the euro in. Okay. Not the euro, I mean the yen. The yen looks like it had an excellent move. The yen is only $6.25 a tick. The yen is a tradable index on US News, 6J, okay? And then the euro is an index we used to trade on this report. It had a beautiful move. I think we should add the euro back as a possibility. But I'm doing this because I want people to know what the possibilities are. Yen, euro, lower risk because they're only $6.25 a tick. The NQ is possibly tradable on this report. But look, I mean, I don't like it. This is why I don't like the NQ a lot for news. It went up, it went down, very choppy upward move, but looks like it would have worked, possibly would have worked. ES is usually tradable on this report. Looks like the NQ, okay, the indexes were a little bit troubled, but they looked like they would have been okay. 6C was a winner. Good for you, Michael. Okay, at least some of the money came back. Michael got some money back on Canada. Canada is very reliable. It's absolutely unequivocally a family money trade. I've got to convince my boss to make a daily market mover for it. It deserves a daily market mover. It's a great report. It's a great report. Chantal says no ES whipsaw. She was looking at the ES. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Let's look at the video. I know that some folks are very frustrated. It's so frustrated when someone wins and then you chose an index where you didn't win. And trust me, that happened to me last month. Bonds and Canada both looked like good winners, and I lost like $1,000 on gold. So making 820 today is like a big bonus for me. It's like the market, absolutely the market owed me. If I lose one jobs report, I feel the market owes me the next one. And that's why I decided even though I knew bonds, I wanted to trade bonds, but because I've had winners with bonds, but my gut feeling was I'd have a possibility of a better profit on gold. And here's what I was going to say. Calvin, will you retype that? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. Here's why I was worried about bonds. A lot of what we do, if you think about it, besides testing movement, we're trading probabilities, right? I mean, all trades are probabilities, but it's like the ADP report this week. Every month before this one was a winner. Same thing with bonds. There has to eventually be a stop. There has to be a stop. Today was bonds stop. Do you follow me? There was a probability fairly high that bonds might have a stop today because they've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 winners in a row. If we load the previous DMM, right? If you load the previous daily market report, not that report, forgive me. Let me find the previous report, so bear with me. And these are some of the things that I analyzed during the week. These are the things that I look at during the week. Let me pull up last month's job report. I want to know if bonds has had 8 winners in a row. If it's had 8 winners in a row and I have an opportunity to possibly trade something else, I'm thinking that maybe I want to do it because I'm very superstitious that bonds is due for a stop. Now, the frustrating thing about that, and we all know this is true, we've all seen 12 winners in a row. It happens because look, we had 6. Look at gold on the jobs report. This is last month's DMM. In other words, before October. 2 months ago. This is 2 months ago. Okay. But bonds, look how bonds have been trading. Bonds haven't had a stop. 1 out of 12. 1 out of 12. And that's in a way why I think gold didn't work last month. It's just like the probability is that it's going to happen. Fred, I did not cancel bonds last month. I didn't trade it. Now, some people, if you look at the bond trade, look at bonds from last month, Fred. Here's the video last month. This is bonds. I lost money on gold. Bonds are on the right. Bonds were filled before 10 seconds, Fred. They would have been filled right there. Bonds would have filled you. It was right at 10 or 11 seconds. I would not have canceled bonds. I would have not canceled that. I would have had that trade work for me. Okay. Now I understand some people, if they had an automated cancel, it might have canceled it, but it would have been awfully close, awfully close. So Calvin, you're seeing that error more than you should on your computer, right? Do you agree with me that that's true? So, oh, it's on your VPS. So, did anybody have errors or any errors or problems executing the trade? So, Calvin, but this is a new VPS too. So you don't know 100% what their deal is, in all honesty, right? So you need to try some small, slower trades and see how everything works on that VPS. It's the one reason I don't like running personally. I would rather have complete control of my internet if it can be fast enough and reliable enough. If it can be fast enough and reliable enough. That means you have to be able to connect wired, not wireless, and you have to be able to have gigabyte internet, like Fios gigabyte. I think Comcast in my area now offers gigabyte internet. Now let's look at the move from today. I think the move was very fast, and I think it was whippy. I mean, I do think that it was. It was not, it was nerve-wracking. It was a nerve-wracking trade. Watch. Let's watch bonds first, because a lot of people traded bonds. Bonds are on the right. Now, it'll be hard for me to tell what happened because I don't have brackets or the exact current price. So here's bonds, okay? Right before the trade. They were heading down. Gold had changed direction. Now, bonds was very fast. So people are telling me where that the fills were high up the candle, and then bonds pulled back and stopped them out. So what happened to bond traders is they were filled up in here. Someone told me 0.5, 3/4 of the way up the candle, and then it pulled back immediately. And that's what caused the stop out. That move that you just saw, watch. So bonds, they give you a bad fill right about here. That's the problem. Now watch it pull back. That's the pullback that stopped you out on bonds. That's what happened with bonds. That's why they didn't work. Okay. Now it doesn't make you feel any better, but that's what happened. At least you know the truth about the move. Now gold tried to scare us again. Okay. Now there was no way I was going to cancel gold. Let's look, what's the size of that move? What's the size of the move? So gold goes, let's say it went from 69. You have an 18 tick, 19 tick move in gold. Again. Okay. Again. Wally, I'm sorry. I think I don't know who I was asking. Yes, Jody's saying she looked at a lower time frame chart, and it seems obvious that that's what happened with bonds. That is what happened with bonds. Now, I know people are scared of gold. I totally understand. Bonds are generally much safer. It's very, very rare to have that kind of move on bonds. They don't normally move that way. Why did it maybe happen though? It might have happened because of the news. If it had all been as expected with larger results, so in other words, the problem that might have created that type of a move is the mixture in all the news. There's a lot of different results. So here's my point. And then we will be back here at 9:30. We have another event. So looking at what the news results were, the important info is the non-farm payrolls. That's the main number. And then the private non-farm payrolls. And they're almost always similar to the non-farm payrolls. They both were terrible. Terrible. But the unemployment rate was great. And that creates mixed news. That creates that kind of move down and up. Okay, up and then down. Okay. Now, Eric, the whole issue of slippage is generally meaningless. And I'll tell you that there's positive slippage as often as there's negative slippage. And on big trades, there's often slippage in the trade, but the moves are generally good enough to overcome the slippage. And otherwise, we wouldn't be here, Eric. We'd have blown out every account. You follow me? So I agree with what you're saying, but slippage is just an issue that we deal with. It's not something it's something that occasionally ruins a trade. It occasionally doubles your profits. It occasionally gives you a 25% better profit. It occasionally gives you a small profit. It's a factor, but it's not something that keeps you from trading these types of trades. And some people think it is, but that's because they don't know how to do this. But you can't ignore slippage, but I don't worry that much about slippage because there's so many trades where slippage gives me extra money. And there's trades where it kills my trade. And I know that. So it is, but it is something you have to be aware of it because today, unusual ZN slippage ruined the trade. And that was very unusual, very bad fill. And I doubt if it was because of liquidity. I don't think I've ever seen bad liquidity on bonds. Let me see if I can even see. So I have to fix my dome. I'm sorry. I got to fix my dome. It's not showing orders properly. So I can't do what I wanted to do right now. Ninja makes me crazy. I need to redo my whole computer is what I have to do. Liquidity on bonds generally is not an issue. So I'm very surprised that there was so much slippage. But when you look at the video, if a candle is printed faster than you can blink your eye, you know there's a potential for slippage. So look at the bond print at 8:30. Watch. Right side chart. Watch how fast that bond candle is going to shoot up. That is fast, folks. It is. Whether we like it or not, it's fast. And it's a very fast pullback also. You had no opportunity. Even if it hit your first target, which it might have. It might have hit your first target because your first target wasn't that big. So the losses, my guess is most people hit their first target on bonds. and got stopped, but couldn't get out fast enough to save the trade. Now, you can try automating a trade. You can try automating your first target, but on a trade this fast, sometimes it will create software errors. Give me a second, I'll show you how to do it. I just wanted to look at that gold move one more time. So gold, 18-19 tick move. Theoretically, I suppose you could have canceled the gold trade. I didn't. Gold went up, touched my first target, then finally it went through both of them, and then it went through my third. But I really believe that I had my targets right. By shrinking my targets, I was able to hit all of them, and gold did not go that much higher. I believe that my targets were perfect today. So shrinking them and not being greedy, for me, was the right decision. Now look, I'm never going to push this in your face, you know, ha ha, I won, you didn't. I want you to win. I would rather you win than me. That's the truth. No one did anything wrong with bonds. But let's say you want to automate your trade, okay? And it's just a heads up on automating. You want to automate so that if you hit your first target, you can automatically get out of the trade. I have to redo all my charts. My charts are a mess. My Ninja is a mess. My Ninja is a mess. And I just can't take it anymore. So let me do it on my other chart. So here's my bonds on the right. Oh, you know what? It's me. I'm sorry. I'm losing it. Not my charts. It's my brain. So let's say you want to automate that a move. So let's say you hit your first target. So there's a feature in the software, target one stop move. That automates your stop if you hit target one. If you put it to break even +2, can you all hear me? Okay, break even +2. When you hit your first target, it'll target one stop move, will move your stop to break even +2 automatically. When a trade moves so fast, you can get a stop error if that happens though. If the trade is moving so fast, because the software tries to place the stop is not ready to be filled by the exchange, and the software doesn't see the stop yet. That's the danger sometimes of automating very, very fast trades. But you can do it, you can try it, and sometimes it will prevent a loss. You could also do it on the second target. Target two stop move. All right, folks, we'll be back at 9:30 for the ISM services report. So I will see everybody at 9:30. I hope you don't let it get you down if you didn't make money today. I know that trading has been difficult for a couple of months. It's going to get better. I know I say that. Pick and choose your trades carefully, and don't let it get you down if you didn't have a winning trade today. But I'll see everybody at 9:30. Obviously, we had a very nice winner. Gold worked great today. So I wanted to trade gold going in. A couple of reasons, probabilities. I got stopped on gold last month. Now, whether it was should have been canceled, it still was a whipsaw last month, which says to me there's not going to be a whipsaw this month. It's very rare to get two in a row on this report. It just is. It's rare. It happens, but it's rare. All right. I'll see everybody at 9:30. I just need a couple of minutes to get ready for the next room. So I'll see you all at 9:30. All right, folks. And Chantal, thanks everybody on YouTube. We'll see you all next week. If you like what you see on YouTube, www.10minutetrades.com. 10minutetrades.com. Okay, Chantal. Take care, YouTube. We'll see you next time. I'll see everybody later.